Hello again, basketball fans. It's your boy, Rick Kamla, and we have a brand new show for you right here, the SportsEthos NBA Show with me, Rick Kamla. We're going to bring on Aaron Bruski in just a little bit here, and this is going to be a lot of fun. I want you guys to tell your friends, tell your family members, tell the people you're playing fantasy sports with about this. If you dig listening to me talk basketball, this is the venue for it. And I do shows with Brew. I do shows with Dr. A. It's all great. This is your boy Kamla unfiltered to a degree here, okay? So I'm really excited about this show. We're all excited about the show here at SportsEthos. And let's dive in with a word about our sponsor, BetOnline. They're in terms of what's going on right now, there's a rather large game on Sunday, and the biggest betting weekend of the year is finally here. That means more updated odds and props for Super Sunday. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. They have hundreds of prop bets, MVP odds, exclusive in-game betting, in-game live betting, I should say. BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline offers you everything and more to enhance your game day experience. Visit the website today and make the game day action count just a little bit more. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, so we had some huge trades go down over the weekend. I want to dive into the De'Aaron Fox trade to San Antonio in just a little bit. We have to get to right now, without further ado, the most shocking trade in NBA history, Luka Dončić for Anthony Davis, which went down overnight on Saturday night. Shams Charania confirmed this trade, and you've got Dallas receiving Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and the Lakers' 2029 first-round pick. Dončić is headed to Los Angeles along with Maxi Kleber and Markieff Morris. Markieff Morris, didn't he win a title in the bubble with the Lakers? I believe he did. So he is back with the purple and gold. I know he had a nice relationship with LeBron at that time. Utah gets Jalen Hood-Schifino, 2025 second from Dallas, and a 2025 second from the Clippers. Okay, the line of the weekend, or the acronym of the weekend, was WTF. You all know what that is. I don't need to spell it out, okay? Players were saying it. Tyler Hero said it on Twitter. I said it to a degree on Twitter. I was at a concert on Sunday afternoon in Tampa. Met a dude, just a guy there, and an NBA fan, and I said, what do you think of the Luka trade? And he said, WTF, okay? But he spelled it out. Everybody is saying this, okay? What the bleep? Kristaps Porzingis was interviewed and couldn't believe it. It is the most shocking trade in NBA history. There have been some other shocking trades. There have been other surprising trades. This one is just, I did not see Luka Dončić being traded at all. But then you tell me he was traded for Anthony Davis, a soon-to-be 32-year-old injury-prone player, who is probably 2 years away from the beginning of the descent into the twilight, right? We're still a ways away from that, but it's right around the corner. Why did the Mavs do this, okay? It's an obvious no-brainer for the Los Angeles Lakers, and it doesn't really matter, okay? They weren't going to give up LeBron. You can have everything. We want Luka. I didn't even know the Lakers wanted Luka Dončić. Nobody did. Okay, why would the Mavs do this? Luka had to ask out some way, somehow. Also, there are the conditioning issues that have been widely reported. I saw earlier today there was a report that the Mavericks fear that the lack of conditioning and, frankly, the laziness of Luka Dončić may lead to a Joel Embiid situation. I can't tell you how faulty that thinking is. They're different body types, you dummies. We got 6'8" and puffy and doughy, and we got 7', 7'1" and about 300 pounds. Okay, come on. They're apples and oranges. You got a center and a point guard. We're worried about Luka falling apart like Embiid. That's bogus, man. Obviously, Luka didn't do enough work off the court to keep his body in shape. Okay, that's a huge problem here. I've been complaining about it for years. All right, he's got to get more serious about the game. I told you guys this in the NBA Finals when he was out there laughing and not playing defense. And I thought he was just sort of happy to be there. I really did. Okay, so he's got to get more serious. But here's the thing, guys. He's 25. We're bailing on a 25-year-old guy who obviously has immaturity issues. Guys that have immaturity issues typically mature, okay? Allen Iverson did it. Carmelo Anthony did it. There are others, okay? Guys that early in their career, for whatever reason, maybe he was partying too much. Maybe they were hurt too much. Maybe just guys get older and they start to dial in, okay? Dallas is not going to reap those rewards anymore because they have traded him. Luka's more talented than Davis. Luka's more clutch than Davis. Luka's more versatile than Davis. There's all kinds of reasons here. Nico Harrison said, we feel like we got out in front of what could be a tumultuous summer when Luka's going to be up for, a big-time max contract. Nico said that Luka gave him no indication he wanted out or wouldn't sign an extension moving forward. He also said the Lakers were the only team that they talked to. Tim McMahon of ESPN talks about the concerns about conditioning and this kind of thing. Luka's been limited to 22 games this season, hasn't played more than 70 games since his rookie year. Yes, these are problems. But you, as the Dallas Mavericks, just went to the NBA Finals with Luka kind of sort of half-assing it, okay? Again, what if he starts taking it more seriously? And I believe that he eventually will start to take this more seriously. So it's your boy Rick Kamla here, the SportsEthos NBA Show with Rick Kamla. And so let's continue talking here about this. How are LeBron James and Luka Dončić going to fit? Okay? Are they going to play LeBron James at center? I would explore that if I were the Lakers and just lean in on going small. Jackson Hayes is a filler. He is a backup, masquerading as a starter, okay? They don't have anybody. Could they go get a Jonas Valanciunas? Yeah, that would look good, right? A Clint Capella from Atlanta. That would look good. Evan Sidery of Forbes reported that Nick Claxton is a name that the Lakers are going to be aggressively pursuing. Also, Robert Williams III up in Portland. Okay, they need a big. Will they get one of these guys? We'll soon find out. But somebody's going to have to sacrifice him. Austin Reeves, bye-bye for fantasy. I mean, he's going to give you like 15, 4, and 4. Like, it's going to be an okay line. It's not going to be these big old stat lines he's been doing. He's going to be, kind of standing around and watching and waiting for catch and shoot threes. But LeBron has apparently wanted to play with Luka for a long, long time. But LeBron also wanted to play with Russell Westbrook. How'd that work out? Okay. And future Hall of Fame point guard needs the ball. Oh, we'll make it work. They didn't make it work. It was a disaster. How is this going to work? Okay. I have huge questions about this. To me, LeBron has to say, like Dwayne Wade did to LeBron James back in the Miami days, it's your show, bro. Okay. Kyrie Irving, when he went to Dallas, last year or the year before, told Luka, it's your show. I'm not tripping. There's no weirdness here. It's your show, bro. Somebody's going to have to do this in LA. Otherwise, Luka and LeBron are going to be like Wade and LeBron in the 2011 finals against Dallas. Confusion, chaos, mayhem, and a loss, okay? You have to figure out that role definition. Who's the number one? It has to be Luka. But will LeBron, at 40, nearing the end here and still playing at an MVP level, does he want to do that? Okay, they didn't want to do that with Russ. Will he do it now with Luka? We'll see. I have huge issues with fit and huge questions about that. Okay, elsewhere here. Is this a soft launch of a retirement tour for LeBron James? Was Luka just acquired to replace LeBron James as the dude next season? We know that Luka was acquired to replace LeBron James. He'll be the face of the Lakers moving forward, okay? I still feel like LeBron's going to play another year, but maybe things have changed, okay? So are we watching the end of LeBron here? Did the Lakers make this move now? It's wonky. It doesn't fit now, right? Davis, frankly, fits better with this Laker group than Luka Dončić, but the Lakers aren't cared about fit. They're not worried about fit. They're worried about getting Luka, okay? And I dig that. I do. I would way more go for the long term in the long game over how's it going to work right now. I don't care how it works right now. I just got Luka Dončić, okay? And I believe in my program. I program arrogance. I'm going to get the best out of Luka. He's actually going to work out and sweat and not spend the entire offseason with a damn beer in his hand, okay? Like, we are going to change this guy and get him focused on basketball. And when you go to a team like the Lakers, and it's one of the glory teams, a lot of times that'll change a dude in the right way. If Anthony Davis wanted to play the 4, were the Lakers growing tired of that narrative? I certainly was. Every year, Davis wants to get out of the hole. Every year, Davis wants to get out of the hole. He wants to go back to being a 4, okay? And to me, if I'm Rob Pelinka and if I'm Jeannie Buss, I'm fatigued about that. Dude, go ball, okay? It's The NBA in 2025, okay? Back in the 90s, you're a 4. In the 2020s, you're a 5, bro. But he is going to play the 4 down there in Dallas, so he did get what he wants. Can Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis be a better duo than Kyrie Irving and Luka Dončić? I would rather have Luka Dončić and Kyrie Irving, okay? Because it fit and because shot creation is so essential in the playoffs. You can't win without shot creation. Anthony Davis is not a shot creator. He has shots created for him, okay? So in that way, I do think the Mavs downgraded here. And I know they're going to sell us on defense. And Anthony Davis is going to come transform our defense and all this kind of stuff. That's cool. But you just traded the king of skill, a guy who's super clutch, a guy who's got a ring, made the biggest shot in Cavaliers history, with Luka Dončić, destined to win a title at some point. Like I told you all about Tatum and Brown about 5 years ago on NBA radio. That hit, okay? Feel the same way about Luka. This guy is destined to be a champion in this league. Same thing about Wemby, destined to be a champion in this league. But I would rather have, for the right now, Luka and Kyrie than Luka and Anthony Davis. So, it is the SportsEthos NBA Show with Rick Kamla. And Nico Harrison said, the easiest thing for me to do is nothing, and everyone would praise me for doing nothing. But we really believe in it. Time will tell if I'm right. Well, you know what, Nico, you're right. Time will tell. But I could tell you right now, you were not right about this. This was a bad trade for you, and I think ultimately it's going to lead to him losing his job. So we will, but that'll be a ways out. So guys, every week I'm going to do hand out a Cammy. Okay, it's the award basically, and it's not like necessarily a Player of the Week award. Could be to a team, could be to a coach, could be to a ref, could be it's whatever I'm really psyched about. Okay, and a lot of times it will be the best Player of the Week. This week, the very first Cammy here on the SportsEthos NBA Show with Rick Kamla goes to the San Antonio Spurs. Okay. The San Antonio Spurs just heisted the great De'Aaron Fox. They get De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. The Kings get Zach LaVine, Sidi Sissoko, 3 first-round picks, and 3 seconds. And actually, that's been revised. It's actually more like 4 first-round picks and 2 seconds, okay? A lot of picks, right? The Bulls get Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and their own 2025 pick back from San Antonio. Here is why the Spurs give my first ever SportsEthos Cammy. They're going for it and not waiting like these other wussy teams, okay? Like Portland and, Washington and Utah, right? I mean, when is Utah going to try to win, okay? Hello, if you played your main guys 30-plus minutes, you'd probably be about a 500 team. But no, they don't want to do all of that. The long game. And San Antonio's going for it, okay? Last year they weren't. It was we're just going to dip our toe into the water, okay? And all of a sudden, Wemby's like, screw that. I want to win now. I literally live and die with wins and losses. And you see that. You saw that last year. You see it now. You have to feed that competitiveness, man. You want to piss off your star and want him thinking about going somewhere else. Do what he doesn't want you to do. He wants to win. Build around him now. Is San Antonio going to win the championship this year? F no, okay? It's not about that. It's about getting the crew together and building over time. 3 or 4 years from now, hell, 2 years from now, could Fox and Wemby be championship contenders? You're damn right. They might be next year, okay? The earlier you get started on that, the better, okay? You got the unicorn. Wemby's ready to win. He's putting up literally, arguably, the best stat line we've ever seen in a single season. Do you know nobody ever in this league has averaged 4 blocks and 3 threes per game? It's never been done. And Wemby has a very, very good chance. He's doing it right now. He's got a very good chance to finally pull that off, okay? De'Aaron Fox is a future Hall of Fame player. On a previous broadcast, the great Aaron Bruski, who's going to join us here in a moment, said that De'Aaron Fox is not a generational player. And that really hit with me because I'm like, is he right? Yeah, he's right. Because a generational player is Wemby, LeBron, Shaq, Iverson, Duncan, guys like that. That's a generational player, okay? De'Aaron Fox is a future Hall of Famer. You can be a future Hall of Famer and not be a generational player, okay? He's not a generational player, but he's lightning, he's durable, he's clutch, he's versatile, and he's still improving. And he wants to play with Wemby, and Wemby wants to play with him, okay? They are a great fit. You got the big and small. You've got fast and you've got skilled. Both are clutch. Both are competitive. Both want to win now. They're both committed to each other, unlike Trae Young and DeJounte Murray, which was a complete joke. And if Fox wanted this, then Wemby wanted this, okay? And you've got to have the star player buy it. I love another reason why the Spurs give my Cammy of the week is they stole De'Aaron Fox. They didn't just trade for him. They stole him, okay? You're sending out 5 or 6 picks, whatever it looks like, right? But you're sending out Zach Collins, Trey Jones, and Sidi Sissoko. You literally cannot go lighter on the player capital side than that. Okay, it's a little heavy on the draft capital side. It should be, but it's extremely light on the player capital side. That's why this is a heist, okay? They did not have to give up Devin Vassell or Stephon Castle. And 3 days ago, you told me, Cam, the Spurs are going to get Fox without giving up either of those 2 guards. I would have said you're nuts, okay? Because, like, if I'm Zach, I got it. Well, they got Zach LaVine, right? And so then they got that guard. But for San Antonio to acquire De'Aaron Fox without giving up Castle or Vassell is 10 Grand Slam home runs, okay? Think about how nasty the Spurs are now, folks. Nasty. Almost too deep. Okay, your starting 5 is going to be Wemby. Harrison Barnes is playing a lot better lately. Devin Vassell, Stephen Castle, and De'Aaron Fox. Pretty good starting 5 right there. A lot of scoring, a lot of versatility. I don't see a ton of defense, but you got Wemby blocking every damn shot. And then so here's your second unit. Charles Bassey, Sohan, Julian Champagnie, Keldon Johnson, and Chris Paul. Wait, you don't like that bench? You're crazy. That's one of the best benches in the league. Chris Paul, Keldon Johnson, Julian Champagnie, Sohan. Stop right there, okay? You don't even need Bassey. Bassey's going to be the 10th man in case of emergency break glass. They got a sweet 9-man rotation. Guys, I have a prediction for you. Bet on it if you can. Monetize it if you can. The Spurs are going to be a tornado from here to the end. They're going to pass Sacramento, who they just stole Fox from, and they're going to pass Golden State, and they're going to make the play-in tournament. Sac is going to be on the outside. Golden State's going to be on the outside, okay? It's a very, very confident prediction from your boy Cam. All right, Sac gets Zach LaVine, okay? Love the trade for Zach. Finally gets out of Chicago. Reunited with DeMar DeRozan. I'm not sure that was all peaches and cream. I think there might have been a little bit of uncertainty about who the number 1 is, but they're teammates again, okay? And now here we are once again. You've got Monk, you've got LaVine, you've got DeRozan, and you've got Sabonis, who is their number 1. We'll soon find out. But Sac's new lineup, it looks a lot like the previous one. It's offense on offense on offense. It's Monk, it's LaVine, it's DeRozan, it's Keegan Murray, and it's Sabonis. Man, it's a very, very talented starting 5. But Sacramento is not better after this. They know it, too. They know it. Oh, we went from De'Aaron Fox to Zach LaVine. Woo, we're better. Nobody's saying that. They might, but they're lying, either to themselves or others. This is a downgrade. And I do like Zach LaVine a lot, okay? But he's a downgrade off of De'Aaron Fox. So it is the Sports Ethos NBA Show with Rick Kamla. And let's bring in the great Aaron Bruski right now. Aaron Bruski, my friend, welcome to the maiden voyage of the Sports Ethos NBA Show with Rick Kamla. What's up, dude? I'm so psyched to have you on.
I'm sitting here. It feels like I'm in the car listening to you as I always have. I'm just just rolling. There's Rick. He's going on and on and on. I love it. I'm happy to be here, man. It's an honor to be here for the first show. It's just an honor to have you involved with Sports Ethos in general. So thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for those great words, Aaron. I really, really appreciate that. So let's dive in here, man. Let's dive in on these trades. Now, for the live Fantasy NBA Today broadcast recorded on Monday, we addressed these trades from the fantasy perspective. Let's now try to go more reality on this, more global on this, on the Luka Dončić and Anthony Davis trade. And you heard some of my thoughts, and really no fantasy, just kind of going into fit and who's going to be better and all this kind of stuff. So let's start with Luka going to the Lakers, Anthony Davis going down there to the Dallas Mavericks, obviously with some other pieces involved. But give me a reality spin on that.
Shocking. I mean, one of the easily the most shocking trade I think I've seen in my career. Maybe I'm forgetting one, but I'm like 3 days later, or 2 days later, whatever it is, I'm just like, what happened? and it's just the repeating thought in my head. It's fascinating from so many perspectives of, LeBron is still in LA. This to me signaled the end of the LeBron era in Los Angeles, the end of the clutch era to some degree of having decision-making control over this franchise. When Luka Dončić gets put in front of you for a viable trade offer, including Anthony Davis, the only thing you say is yes. It doesn't matter what the stories may or may not be out of Dallas. It doesn't matter about his weight. It doesn't matter about his defense. This is a guy who has answered every challenge put in front of his face short of an NBA championship, and he's done it with the kind of zest and zeal and leadership that you really only see out of like 5 guys at the NBA level. He's willing to basically take any shot and willing to own almost any outcome, and that alone is the mark of a champion. So that's what LA got, and on the Dallas side, they get Anthony Davis, and it's a fun thing to think about what Anthony Davis at Dallas can do. But the bigger picture is Dallas made this move because they don't like the guy, and that's the biggest, craziest bet that I've ever seen in my NBA career is getting off of a generational player, Luka Dončić, because you don't like the guy or some connection issue there wasn't working out. We've had star players for years, superstar, generational players who've been hard to deal with. But for whatever reason, Dallas couldn't figure that out. That's fascinating to me.
Brew, I love all of your takes. If it just got to a point with Luka Dončić where they didn't like him, he didn't like them, and kind of where you get to a divorce and it's just irreparable and everybody needs to go in their separate directions. Why Anthony Davis? Why now? The trade deadline is Thursday. Okay. You didn't have to, you could have played this out. I mean, hell, they could have floated through Shams, and it would have been quite the bomb that, the Mavericks are expected to explore the trade market for Luka Dončić in advance of the upcoming trade deadline. Boom. It's now the February of Luka, the trade deadline of Luka. Everybody in the league is taking their best pitch at the Mavericks for Luka Dončić. This is not the best package for Luka Dončić. They got 7 years older, Brew. They went from 25 to almost 32. Why not play the long game here? Why jump? Because, Brew, from the Dallas perspective, this is what the Lakers want. They want Luka. Why are you giving the Lakers what they want? It should be about what you want, which is like a young badass to bring back for Luka Dončić with a whole bunch of other stuff, as opposed to Anthony Davis, who purportedly is going to transform their defense. That is, if he plays.
The Anthony Davis stuff's been, just by itself, the last 3-4 years has been interesting because the last couple of years he has shown a fire and a leadership and a toughness that he hasn't had most of his career. He's been on the floor more in the last couple seasons than he has been his entire career. It's as if he finally said, I don't care about longevity. I'm not going to go to the locker room every 5 minutes. I'm going to play. I'm going to be that guy, and starting to feel the pressure associated with that. LeBron saying, hey, man, I need you to be that guy. And so Anthony Davis has sort of become that guy. But prior to that, and even during that, I'm like, why would you want to pay this guy to be that guy? He could fall in a heap of bones in 2 seconds. This is Anthony Davis we're talking about here. And then I have questions with the way he plays sometimes, and some of the settling offensively and then defensively. Like he's not a I can cover all 5 positions guy. The smaller guards in the league can get the edge on him. He's more of a bruiser now that's got versatility that can cover, say, 3 through 5 really well and be the guy that everybody sort of thought that he was all of that time. He's been more of that than less than that, but he still can't defend the pick and roll. And you go up against, say, like a Steph Curry in the playoffs, and now all of a sudden Anthony Davis is a liability. So he's not just this immutable, impregnable defensive player that can just, take any matchup and just destroy it. He's not that guy. So anyway, Dallas got him. And the only thing, we could talk about like Nico Harrison wanting to just keep the circle tight. And if you open it up and Luka says, well, I'll only go here. And, then you get the De'Aaron Fox situation in Sacramento where all of your leverage is lost. I get that. But I think the answer to this one is that Nico Harrison has an existing relationship with both Rob Pelinka and also Anthony Davis. And that was his dude. And this has been the apple of his eye for a year and a half, 2 years. And it's like anytime you make a bad bet, you've got a list of reasons that you went through to make the bad bet. And the one that tipped him over was like, I've wanted this for 1.5 years. This is my guy. It's Anthony Davis. If I can get an Anthony Davis in hand, I'm going to take that. But the reality is if you really didn't like Luka Dončić, if you really don't like him and you think that he's fat and that he's not going to play hard and that his defense sucks and that he's a bit of a handful, you still can go and say, hey, league, I've got this guy, Luka Dončić, that you guys might be interested in. And then if Luka says, well, I'm not going to play there, you could do the old Jerry West thing and just say, well, I'll just keep you through the end of your contract and let you walk for nothing and be the balls. You're Pat Riley telling Jimmy Butler to go F off. You can do that. And probably in this case, Luka nets you more than what you got for Anthony Davis. Got in Anthony Davis, I would say. So for me, this was the comfort level for Nico Harrison, and he didn't want to have another year and change of drama, but he should have, because this deal effectively, once Anthony Davis ends up in a heap of bones on the floor one day, that's it. It's done. This deal's over. Whatever happens between now and then is a bonus, but this effectively ended this iteration of the Dallas Mavericks.
Agreed. And a lot of people, Brew, watching the SportsEthos NBA show with Rick Kamla, Aaron Bruski joining me, are saying, yo, Anthony Davis is a generational talent as well. Indeed, he is. And he's 7 years older than Luka Dončić, and that's why I don't make this trade. And also in today's NBA, I'm going for smalls. I'm not going for bigs. I'll make it work with bigs. But the smalls are the guys that really make it happen here in today's NBA. Smalls and wings, okay? So Nico Harrison, he had to have Anthony Davis. He has Anthony Davis. Now, from the reality perspective, Brew, break down De'Aaron Fox going to San Antonio, Levine going back out to Sacramento in this move, and obviously Chicago was a part of this on an ancillary tip. But let me start with the Sacramento angle since you're so close to this team. Is this like the beginning of a teardown, or is this just, all right, we were like De'Aaron Fox was going to basically opt out of his contract. We were going to leave him for nothing in return. So we were bloodthirsty and desperate to trade him. Is it that, or is this a sign that Sac may be looking here in a year or two to kind of hit the reset button?
This is classic Sacramento chasing its tail because ownership in Vivek Ranadive has unrealistic expectations almost all of the time. And there was a lot of talk when the Beam team was really peaking that Vivek had learned and was letting his, staying out of personnel decisions. Well, the Zach LaVine deal should be your first indication that he's not staying out of personnel decisions, because that's one of his targets, an apple of his eye for a while. Kyle Kuzma, he's putting his finger on the scale with that. Vivek is a guy who thinks that he knows things on a basketball level and has no problems at all sharing his opinions and also influencing decisions that are made. And this is the part where it's really hard to evaluate Monty McNair and now Wes Wilcox. Another thing that Vivek likes to do is bring multiple voices into the equation. He thinks it's a good thing. So he brings in new power sources, and everybody starts to kind of figure out, how do I stick around in this mess and also keep him happy? I think that was the genesis of the Domantas Sabonis trade. I don't think that Monty McNair would have made that deal if he thought he had a job long term and they needed to win in the play or get to the playoffs, I should say. And they looked at what Sabonis brought and they said, okay, this can actually work. We can get to the playoffs with this guy. And that's the hard part, is when you have a center who gets all of the numbers, who gets all of the production, who gets, to be the hub of the offense, and it gets all the praise and the publicity for the big counting stat numbers, but in the playoffs can't defend when matchups are starting to getting zeroed in on, and he can't protect the rim. And when De'Aaron Fox went on Draymond Green's podcast and said that, the issue with this team was rim protection, and that they all had to basically play perfect. That was actually Mike Brown's strategy, was that he knew they were at a deficiency because of Domantas, and they were pre-rotating everything to try to take away his lack of foot speed as a problem there. And it just was never going to work. And I think what De'Aaron Fox did was make his choice based on that. Now, as far as what's Sacramento going to do now is they're going to try to stay in the playoffs, and they're going to try to make more win now moves. And to some degree, it makes sense, because if you've got Sabonis, you're going to be in the ballpark of an 8 seed every single year. So you might as well maybe do your best and try to be the best franchise that you can be. The problem is that they will probably try to take on bad money in an attempt to chase some wins. And that might keep them in an 8, 9, 10 seed, but it's not going to do much more than that. And it's just going to position them for future trouble down the road while they navigate the power stuff. Because I think at this point in time, at some point in time, they will say, all right, we need some new voices around here. And one or both of Monty and Wes will be gone, and they'll start this cycle all over again. And that's, I think, the most frustrating thing for Kings fans. They've seen this a million times, the road that it's heading down. And Zach LaVine has had a great year. He looks spry. He's always been good when healthy. He's kind of an amazing scorer when you think of how many shots he takes, 3-point shots in particular, the difficulty on these 3-point shots, and he makes so many of them. He is that dude. Defensively, he's not there. Injury issues, contract size, I mean, those are the downsides, of course. And replacing Fox, it's somewhat similar in some respects. They'll play off of Sabonis more in the dribble handoff game because he can rise and fire with more confidence, and that'll be a little bit different. But by and large, I think that team will be the same. We'll see what pieces they add here in the next couple of days. The San Antonio stuff to me is the fun one. Like, I just want to see what the Ferrari looks like next to the alien we've never seen before. And I think that Fox, one thing that's underrated about Fox, people kind of just think he's just this athlete that just gets up and goes. But this guy's dribbling ability is it's one of the top 5 handles in the league. He can move in traffic with a very low dribble with both hands and spin that thing to get where he wants. And he does it with that next level thinking that you see out of the great offensive players, where they're really moving people around the floor with their eyes and everything that they're doing. He gets now Wemby, which is a cheat code, and he can pretty much just go left, right, doesn't need to really do that much anymore to beat these coverages. And I think if you surround those two players with more shooting, it's going to be just a fascinating thing. And by the way, both guys can defend. So San Antonio, congrats. You guys just got a really good player, a future Hall of Famer, as you were saying earlier in the show, for nothing, really. And that's the state of affairs in the NBA. If you have a superstar and you're not thinking long-term, and you make these decisions that don't pan out, they're going to say they don't want to be there anymore because they want to pursue winning. And that puts you at a deficiency. You can't have a one-team race, San Antonio being the only team he was going to do anything with and get anything for that. So your decisions early on, when they were winning, when they were lighting the beam and celebrating how good they were, they needed to be thinking about, how do we find a unicorn big man to pair next to Sabonis so you can have the rim protection that you need, enough shooting to make it all work. And they would have needed to push all their chips in the middle. And they just thought that they were good enough as is.
Give me one of these teams, Aaron Bruski, here on the Sports Ethos NBA Show with Rick Kamla. Give me one of these teams, 3 teams to make the play-in tournament: Sacramento, San Antonio, or Golden State.
I think it's San Antonio. I really do. I think that they've got enough everywhere, institutionally. I think the players that they have, they've got enough veterans in that mix. Heck, Harrison Barnes has played with Fox. The integration project for Fox, heck, he bought a house in San Antonio a little while ago. He's ready for this. I think that they're going to hit the gas and go. They're already in the playoff mix right now. I think that they'll probably move up to like 6 or 7 at minimum. And who knows, maybe they can climb from there. But this was an interesting move from San Antonio's perspective. The questions, are they going to tank or not? I think we hit the over hard in the preseason win totals. They're not tanking. They're going for it. And they're going to be somebody you don't want to face in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs.
I believe it was Brian Windhorst at the beginning of the year, or maybe in the offseason, on the Hoop Collective podcast, said that San Antonio's in a soft tank, which meant like kind of one foot in, 1 foot out. And I, mentioned at the top of the broadcast, I love this, maybe second segment, that I love the Spurs going for it here and not waiting. I get being patient when being patient's the right thing to do. That's not the right thing to do here. The right thing to do is push your chips in the middle of the table and go for it with this generational. Generational talent just does not quite fit the bill for Wemby. A maybe once in a lifetime type of thing. Brew, just give me your thoughts here on Brandon Ingram.
Wow.
Now that Fox has been traded, Jimmy Butler. I'm not even going to ask you about Jimmy Butler. Okay. We talked about this on Fantasy NBA today and went into great detail on it. And I'm Jimmy Butlered out. I'm as fatigued on Jimmy Butler as Pat Riley is. Wake me when he's traded, if he's traded, and we'll move forward. And if you have comments on Butler, certainly fit him in. But that's just kind of where I'm at with it. I'm very fatigued on it. Brandon Ingram, Brew, is an expiring contract. You know that New Orleans is super desperate to trade him and not have him leave in the offseason, and you get nothing in return. But what makes sense for him? Where could you see Brandon Ingram playing? Like, what makes sense for him, for that team? Talk to me about Brandon Ingram here a little bit. A name that's, I don't think, getting talked about enough. And I'm not a huge Brandon Ingram guy, but he is a former All-Star and an award winner and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like he's going to be dealt before the deadline on Thursday.
This is, it's another kind of bad franchise. New Orleans, the transfer to Gail Benson has been just sort of like, they've been an enigma. At first, there was a time period where it felt like they were doing really good things that immediately crashed and burned, and a lot of it's got Zion's fingerprints all over it. And this is, I think, Brandon Ingram maybe got caught up in the drama of having Zion in this organization and not working hard, not watching his weight, being super concerned about his own future with his own injuries. And that then influences a Brandon Ingram who says, well, look, if this guy's not playing through injury, I don't want to play through injury. I got my next big deal I got to hit. And there was articles last season coming out of New Orleans Times-Picayune where they were the only outlet that even reported this, but there was frustration with Brandon Ingram in the building because he wasn't returning from injury. And when the local paper is writing that about somebody, that's usually a really bad sign that things aren't going well between them and the organization. I just think that not only is he injury prone and not wanting to play through things, but he had that background noise going on that made it even worse. Now his value's sort of in the tank because whoever's taking him on has got to pay him next season. And what's the market for Brandon Ingram? It's probably something in the ballpark of, middle of the road big deal that's, above average, obviously, but it's going to take a hit out of your cap. Toronto's been interested, but I don't know that Toronto being interested is actually real. Or pardon me, I should say there's been reports about Toronto being interested. I don't know if that's just his agent trying to drum stuff up, saying Masai Ujiri's interested out there. Masai might be able to reach a player who's lost their way. He has that in his resume in the past. But do you want to start a kind of a rebuild in Toronto with that as your core? I don't know how he fits next to Scotty Barnes. So I think that there's not a lot of homes for Brandon Ingram. I always thought Miami might be an interesting place for him. In fact, if you could figure out what to do with Bradley Beal in tandem with what you're doing with one or both of Zion and Brandon Ingram, it feels like they're the players that are hard to place around the league. They're good enough to have the discussion. A bunch of executives were quoted as saying, if you had a shot at Zion, you got to almost take it just because he's Zion. I don't see it. I don't see it that way.
Me either.
Brandon Ingram might of the bunch of these disgruntled players have the best outlook because if these issues are solvable injury wise, if the medical staff says, you know what, hey, we can get this, we can deal with this. It's not like Zion who's just like completely lost or, Bradley Beal is super old and has all that history. We can do this. Maybe he has the talent because if you go back to the Western Conference Finals against the Suns, he owned that series, a couple of years ago. And that's hard to find. He had the fortitude. He had the athletic juju. He had all of it. He was ready to go. He dominated that series. And so somebody's going to have to take a shot. It's just a question of where.
So, Brew, a little parting take for you here, and we'll let you go. I could see a 3-team trade here. The LA Lakers, the Atlanta Hawks, the New Orleans Pelicans. Follow me. Brandon Ingram goes to Atlanta, where they can sort of get a shot back in their arm with Jalen Johnson being out for the year. Now, what they do with Brandon moving forward, with reshape, with DeAndre Hunter, with Jalen Johnson, very crowded at the forward position, I don't know. But there are reports about Atlanta being interested, and so maybe that happens. So for Atlanta, you have to give up guys to bring in that money, right? $40-some million. So you send Clint Capella and Bogey Bogdanovic out in that deal. Both are extremely tradable right now, and the home for them would be the Lakers, okay? Now, what are the Lakers giving to New Orleans and Atlanta giving to New Orleans? I don't know. But the Lakers do have contracts to give. Jared Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent, they do have some money that they could cobble together. So I haven't fleshed the whole thing out, Brute. But to me, New Orleans and Atlanta already came together on a trade. David Griffin, Landry Fields, with the DeJounte Murray trade. Maybe they go back to that. Obviously, relationships are very important. Nico Harrison cited Rob Pelinka. Their relationship is one of the reasons here. But I don't think the Lakers would be like Clint Capella would be a good look for the Lakers after the Anthony Davis trade, I think. And Bogey, I think, would be really reinvigorated going out to the purple and gold. So there you go. I a little three-team concoction for you.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And the fact is that Atlanta, those two players seem like they're all but gone. So they're going to be out there shopping. And if you are playing with house money right now, and you're trying to figure out, can we add an impact player to a roster, which, by the way, is super versatile. When you pair players with Trae Young, you've got Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, a Kongwu. You need players that play defense that have a lot of versatility. So you're already versatile, and then you add a Brandon Ingram to that mix, and he's long, he's lengthy. You can hide him on somebody if you don't want him defending the other team's best players. And now you've added another offensive engine to the mix for a team that really does. I mean, Bogey's great, but he's been hurt. You need another offensive engine next to Trae just to balance things out a little bit. Somebody that can really draw attention and keep Trae from being so offensively minded that it takes your team and makes you one-dimensional. So I kind of like the idea, and that's what it's going to take. It's going to take that for Ingram. It's going to take that for Bradley Beal, for Jimmy Butler to get moved. Beal's got to find a home, and that's been the name of the game with this trade deadline. Is you got really big names that have been on the block. We've already seen some massive ones go. I think Zion, Brandon Ingram, Bradley Beal, Jimmy Butler. I created a list the other day. I feel like almost all of them will find new homes. I can't wait to watch it all.
Well, we are going to have wall-to-wall coverage, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We are coming up. It'll be me, you, Dr. A. We'll probably have guests, people falling in. But we're going to be on with extensive coverage of the trading deadline here on SportsEthos in our platform here and in our YouTube channel as well. Brew, can't thank you enough, man, for everything, for the gig, for the platform, for joining me here today. You the man, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Can't wait to watch this show blow up.
My guy, Aaron Bruski. The thing's blowing up, baby. Really appreciate the great Aaron Bruski. So let's get into another segment here called Rick's Rant. You guys have seen these on NBA TV. You've heard these on NBA Radio and Mad Dog Sports Radio. I am now bringing them to the SportsEthos NBA Show with Rick Kamla. And I have long been a big fan of Adam Silver. I'm friendly with Adam Silver. He was my boss for 17 years, okay, in a way. Not day to day, not, hi, Adam, as I walked in every day, but you know what I'm saying. He's the commissioner of the league, a major broadcaster. You got to be in with him, okay? It's just how it works. Adam Silver, I love you, and I have a problem with the 10-minute quarter thing, okay? He said last week to Dan Patrick on his radio show, as we get more involved in global basketball, the NBA is the only league that plays 48 minutes. I am a fan of 4 10-minute quarters. I'm not sure how many others are. Me. And putting aside what it means for records and things like that, I think a 2-hour format for a game is more consistent with modern television habits. The NBA is the only league that plays 48 minutes because it's the best league in the world. The EuroLeague doesn't play 40 minutes. The WNBA doesn't play 48 minutes, I should say. College basketball doesn't play 48 minutes. Guess what? They all take a back seat to the NBA, where the big boys play, where the best of the best play, where the best athletes in the world play. And we want to reduce that? We want to give people less of this beautiful thing? It's an awful idea. This isn't a bad idea. This is egregious, hideous, horrible. It's awful. Absolutely awful. When will the coddling of these players stop? Completely out of control. Player empowerment is out of control. And now the leader of the NBA is fanning the flames of it. We have to set boundaries for the coddling of players. We have already done way more than enough. We have reduced back-to-backs. And now, for some players, back-to-backs aren't even a thing anymore, okay? And that's a player-by-player, team-by-team thing. But they have reduced the number of back-to-backs at the league level. They have reduced the number of 3 games in 4 nights. They have reduced the numbers of 4 games in 5 nights. And while that's smart, the Milwaukee Bucks, we're recording here on Monday, they will play their 3rd game in 4 nights tonight at OKC, and they're resting everybody, okay? So, like, this load management thing is just out of control. We all know that. Okay, what else have they done to coddle players? The baseball series, which I hate so much. It's been sold to me that it's less travel, and you can just camp out in this hard-to-get-to city, and it's just easier on everybody. Okay. I roll. Like, Phoenix can't make 2 trips to Portland within an 82-game NBA regular season? Yeah, they can. Okay. We have a longer All-Star break. It used to be like 3 or 4 days off a long weekend. Now it's a full week off. Okay. I'm not done. There is shorter training camp. Okay. Training camp used to be a month. Now it's 2 weeks. And it's actually like a week, week and a half. Okay. There are fewer practices. Okay. Why? Why is all this stuff happening? Because of the players and player empowerment and everybody believing, from the league office to GMs to coaches to performance teams to players and their agents and their performance people, that the less you play, the better off you're going to be, which is so wrong. Because the guys back in the day, they did not have all of the travel amenities. They did not have the health and treatment amenities. They did not have the diet amenities that these guys have right now, yet they played 82 games every year. Why? How? Because they were chiseled out of granite, okay? And I'm not going to say, it's not about like even the mindset. It's about what you're doing to your body. The more you play, the more you will play. It's science. A body in motion stays in motion. A body that's not in motion stays out of motion. It's science. The league does not understand that. So let me get this straight. You are going to change the fundamental format of the game so your players can rest more. That defies human logic. That doesn't make any sense, okay? The NFL plays 60 minutes. They're not going to change that. Major League Baseball plays 9 innings. They're not going to change that. The NHL plays 3 20-minute periods. They're not going to change that. So why in the hell would you change the NBA, the second most important sport in America? And there may be some soccer fans out there, okay, that to me, that's the Premier League and all that kind of stuff. Forget about that, okay? Baseball takes a backseat to basketball. The NHL clearly takes a backseat to basketball. And so does golf, and so does tennis, and so does auto racing, okay? So we want to change the fundamental format of the second most important sport in America. Give me a break, okay? Oh, we have this declining ratings thing too, right? So is trimming the game from 2 hours and 15 minutes to like 2 hours, is that really going to change ratings and get people liking the game more? Because it's not, think about it, it's just 2 minutes less per quarter. And I don't like that. It's 8 minutes less in a game, okay? It's almost 20% less of your product. So I don't like all of that. I will say this. The pitch count that they brought into Major League Baseball has worked, okay? Ratings are up. Interest is up. The games are shorter. But baseball had a boring problem, okay? I love baseball. Most of you watching right now don't give a damn about baseball. You think it's boring over your dead body. Would you ever watch a 3 or 4 hour baseball game? I'm not that guy. Our game is not boring. The NBA is more exciting than the NFL. okay? Maybe not on the final drive of the game in the fourth quarter, okay? But there's so much boring football. A handoff up the middle. The guy runs right behind the center. He's tackled for a no-yard gain, okay? And we do have missed shots in the NBA. But guess what? We've got like 200 shots being taken per game by both of these teams. They're running up and down the court. Bing, bing, bing. He scored. He scored. He scored. He scored. There's no boredom in the NBA. We don't need to unbore our league, okay? Adam has said previously that he does not support load management, but he wants to shorten the game by 8 minutes. So is this a competitive thing, or is this just a network thing and an entertainment thing? Because I think that's what this is. I don't think this is about basketball. I think this is about business, selling, marketing, having something to tell fans out there. We're different now. We've gone from 48 to 40. And if I'm a fan, I'm like, screw you, buddy. You have just taken away 20% of my beloved NBA, or almost like 18% or whatever that works out. Shaving 8 minutes off of I think I'm a little off with my math. It's around 20%, okay? 1/5. And you're not going to get that back. And hopefully this does not ever get ratified, okay? He talked about records. What do you do about records? Okay? To me, it completely screws it all up. And if a guy's playing 34 minutes now, in a 40-minute game, will he only play 28? And now we're messing with fantasy basketball, okay? And this is a reality show here, but fantasy is very, very big in my life. Not everybody needs everything faster and more convenient and put in a little box. Not everybody needs that, okay? Not everybody needs instant gratification. Some of us with gray hair don't need all of that stuff. I've got a list of coaches here that do not like this. Michael Malone said, I hope we don't go to 10-minute quarters. Tom Thibodeau said, I'm probably more traditional, so I'd hate to see that. JJ Redick said, not a fan, not a good idea. We are the Premier League. Why are we conforming to anyone else? It's not a good idea. And I will rest my case at that. Okay, I want to close out the show here with my weekly award watch. And I want to focus on the MVP race here, okay? It is SportsEthos NBA Show with your boy, Rick Kamla. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP of this league. And it's close, but he's the MVP of this league. He leads the league in scoring. 32.4 points per game for Shai, 31.8 for Giannis. Okay, nice separation there. He's taking this game to another level. He should have been the MVP last season. He got robbed. Okay, but he's even better this year. He's got a Jordan-esque stat line that reads 32, 5, and 6, 1 block and 2 steals, just like MJ used to do. His shooting splits are 53, 35, 90. Crazy good, okay? OKC is second in the league behind Cleveland by 1 game, okay? SGA versus Jokic. You're asking that. Compare the two, okay? Statistically, Jokic has the lead on SGA, but it's not massive. But where there is a massive separation is the standings, okay? The Oklahoma City Thunder are 9 games ahead of the Denver Nuggets. 9, Nuggets fans, because I know you're pissed at me for saying this, and Jokic should win MVP every year, and I love Jokic. He's won 3 of the last 4, and there's no, we have to have somebody else win it. There's no voter fatigue going on here. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the freaking MVP of this league, okay? I also think that the basketball universe owes SGA, after the MVP snub and the most improved snub, when shockingly and disgustingly Lauri Markkanen, it's not his fault, it's the voters' fault, stole that award from Shai and gave it to Lauri Markkanen, who didn't even finish that season, okay? The separation in the standings is how Shai Gilgeous-Alexander overcomes the fact that Jokic is averaging a triple-double, which is very, very impressive. Nikola Jokic is number 2. I'm going to give you my top 5 here. It's my weekly award watch, and we're focusing on MVP. Nikola Jokic right now is 3rd in points, 2nd in assists, 3rd in rebounds, 3rd in steals. That doesn't make sense, guys. It really doesn't. He's having his best statistical season. He's averaging a triple-double. He is up 2.5 points a game. He is up, he's actually the number 2 rebounding rate of his career. He's up a half assist a game. He's up 0.4 steals per game, and he's up 0.9 threes per game. So he's got career highs in points, assists, steals, and threes. 4 very important categories. But Denver is 9 back of OKC. And stats can't overcome that because for me, for MVP, this is not a fantasy basketball conversation. This is the MVP of the NBA. That is a reality award. When you bring reality into it, you bring wins and losses into it. And to me, they predominate the stats. It's a combination of both, but there's a little bit more weight on how much you are winning. And you've got to find some ways, each of us, to talk about this or vote on this or opine on this. You've got to have your little triggers and pivot points, and that is for me. Win-loss record is huge in the MVP discussion. Number 3 on my MVP list is Karl Anthony Towns. I can't believe he's the Knicks MVP over Jalen Brunson. He is number 6 in basketball monster value right now with a stat line that reads 24, 13, and 3, 1 block, 1 steal, 2 threes, 53, 42, 84 shooting splits. He's back home. He's a New Jersey guy, and he understands the assignment. He is playing hard for a hard-ass basketball populace out there in New York and New Jersey. He's no longer a paper tiger. He's actually a tiger now. The Knicks killed the Wolves on this trade. I mean, think about Randall and Dante have both blown tires. They're both out right now. But even before that, when they were healthy, it was pretty clear that the Knicks killed him in this trade. This is maybe Cat's best season. He's got a career high in 3 balls at 42%, career highs in rebounds at 13.6, and a career high in steals at 1 per game. He's 3rd. 4th on my list is Victor Wembanyama. Yeah, pretty high, right? Spurs would have 2 wins without Victor Wembanyama. They're 21-25, 2 games out of the play-in tournament, and Wemby has kept them in the fight until now. Bloop. Hey, there's De'Aaron Fox. Have fun with that. Wemby has maybe the best overall stat line of all time. 24, 11, and 4, 4 blocks, 1 steal, 3 threes. Nobody's ever done that before. 48, 36, 85 are his shooting splits, okay? It's all happening. Wemby's winning. He's an all-star. He's an MVP candidate. He's going to win DPOY for the first of many times. He's a magnet for other stars. Fox is a Spur, and it's all happening for him. It is his world right now, in case you didn't already know that. Giannis Antetokounmpo comes in number 5. Okay, Giannis and Dame have powered the Bucks without a lot of help. Giannis and the Bucks are 20-26 as we speak. They're going to take an L tonight to OKC. He's averaging a career-high 31.8 points. 32, 12, and 6 is his PRA. His point rebound is his stat line, with a block, with a steal. The threes have vaporized, and the free throw percentage is way down. And they're only 6 games over 500. So I have Giannis there at number 5 on my MVP list. A quick shout-out before we get out to Tyrese Maxey. The Sixers were only 2-2 last week, but my guy Maxey went massive. He averaged like 38 points a game for the week. He's got 5 straight games with 30-plus points going right now, and he looks like more of a franchise face than Paul George or Joel Embiid. So it's a little shout-out before we get out. I wanted to dap up Tyrese Maxey, who also I thought took the All-Star exclusion in stride. I wouldn't call it a snub because it wasn't. Trae Young and Domantas Sabonis got snubbed. Maxey, because the record, did not get snubbed. But he was like, yeah, I'm good with it, man. I'm happy for all the guys that went. I thought that was a really good way to look at that. Big thanks to Aaron Bruski for joining us. Big thanks to our great producer, Andre Lemouche. Thank all of you for watching and telling people about the Sports Ethos NBA Show with me, Rick Kamla. And remember, this episode has been brought to you by Bet Online. We will see you next week with another episode. Bye-bye.